more time. And I'm sorry, are you asleep?
Are we interrupting something?
Wow. OT.
She has 2 little ones under the age of 2. She's entitled to a yawn every now and then.
Snoozy. You know what?
It was a big show. It was a lot of.
It was.
Took a lot of energy.
We had a lot of stuff going on. I'm looking at the live chat. A lot of people want to talk about the situation, continue the conversation that we had on the TV version of us about the Secret Service. And I said, why don't we just start defunding stuff to hold these agencies accountable? And people in the live chat think that I'm quite wacky for saying that. Like, you could never just take the money. You can't turn a government program around. Okay, so what's the answer? What do we do?
Well, I thought it would be get a better leader, but you're saying it's been happening for decades.
It has.
But I think it falls on the head of the leader. The leader, you have to be afraid of your leader.
So you can fix it at any time, is what you're saying.
Yes.
It may have happened decades in a row,
Right.
but right now you have an opportunity.
Leader that steps in
you could
and
do
says,
it today,
this
maybe.
is stopping now.
But the question we have to ask ourselves, Harris, if you're going to agree that this has been something that's been systematic for a long time is, well, why does it seem that there have been mostly incidents now, especially in the Secret Service? What happened with the IRS hasn't happened since Watergate. So you can't really say it's been happening throughout basically the last 30 years, when the last time was 1974. And the other part of it,
but the stripper parties and everything.
Well,
come on.
Look, I mean, but this is
they didn't just find hookers.
Correct, but again,
I mean, come on.
This goes to the question: why does it seem the VA? I don't remember scandals of this proportion. So,
there were in the 70s. Absolutely.
Sure, but that might have been back then. So I think the real question is, how do you change laws, regulations, protocols, whatever they may be now that allow immediate accountability and the firing? Because remember, the Secret Service head, the temporary head, went in front of the House Oversight Committee and basically said, I can't fire anybody. Doesn't that kind of make you wonder, then what the heck are we doing?
Create competition and privatize the Secret Service.
Well, I wouldn't go that far.
Well, there are.
Tony, I finally left him speechless.
As far as the economy is concerned, though, so many people are without jobs. So if you can't do your job, get them out of there and hire someone who needs a job, who's capable.
It's just a culture that's just...
Yeah. All right. So Amapola, I think I'm saying it correctly, President Obama's comments were diminishing of Elizabeth Warren. He said Elizabeth Warren's comments lacked veracity and confirmation. The way he said it with sarcasm and contempt made it worse, and that is what is bothering others.
You mean the president's comments about Elizabeth?
Right. Okay. What he said was, it's true, Elizabeth is a politician, just like so many others.
She needs to get her words out there, is what
on so many other issues. Well, he called her a politician. That's how he used it. It's true. Elizabeth is a politician, and then went on. Yeah. Because this is about the trade deal. But what's interesting is what Ainsley said. If she doesn't have a problem with it, why do other Democratic leaders have a problem with it?
Yeah, but I think it goes to something else, which is why President Obama, frankly, has had such a bad relationship with Congress. I mean, this is one of the most underreported stories of the president's administration. I mean, outside of the first 2 years, he has very little legislative accomplishment, and it's largely because he has no real allies on Capitol Hill.
Or because he has no relationship with
because
them.
he has no personal,
not even within his own party.
That's correct. But the part about this that really kind of doesn't surprise me, aside from the fact that it's the ad hominem attack that's, again, unoriginal, it's the president's a snarky guy. I mean, he's not exactly, a diplomatic fellow when it comes to attacking his opponents. Remember when Tom Cotton wrote that letter to the Iranian mullahs? And he basically, in the same kind of tone and tenor and arrogance, basically said, well, Tom Cotton's siding with the Iranian mullahs, over freedom-loving people like us. Well, meanwhile, who approves the Iran deal? The Iranian mullahs who President Obama is negotiating with. So he's a snarky guy. It's hardly surprising. I'm just more surprised that his own party is holding him to account for it as much as they have.
Can I ask you a question? Why is the president having such a hard time with this trade deal? And I mean, really, if we just make this on topic about what it is.
Well, I'm sure Tony can answer this better than I can, but I will tell you that it's because those on the left side of the aisle argue that this is going to be a job killer for the United States. It's their talking points that they stick to without actually doing the research and what a vast sweeping trade deal would mean truly for the United States with Europe and Asia. And that's the problem. You've got politicians that stick to talking points and don't actually do the research and find out what it really means. And at the end of the day, it's something that would really benefit the United States.
Is Elizabeth Warren one of those?
I don't know, because I don't know really
he's lumping-
specifically the angles that she's hit or
With his comments, the president
disagreement
is
she has
lumping
with
her in with other politicians who obviously are in disagreement with him over the trade deal. So I'm just wondering, if he says her arguments have no veracity, what does that mean?
Well, because Elizabeth Warren has been arguing that this would be a job killer, right?
Exactly. I mean, to your point, Sandra, Elizabeth Warren is kind of the poster child for this protectionist wing of the Democratic Party that Barack Obama was part of when he was a candidate running for president, again, as I mentioned during the program, and using free trade as a wedge issue against Hillary Clinton. Remember, unions hate free trade. The AFL-CIO has come out strongly against it. Teamsters have come out strongly against it. They create at least the rhetoric that this kills American jobs. And on the other hand, you have people, mostly on the right now, who do believe that opening markets is good for American companies, it's good for economic growth, competition, et cetera, the free enterprise system. I'll tell you who's interesting to me in this debate is Carly Fiorina, who's a less known Republican candidate for president, but longtime CEO of Hewlett-Packard, someone who basically pioneered the American commerce free trade initiatives during the 90s with China, with Vietnam, and opening up a lot of Asian markets. She's against this because she just doesn't think the president's capable of negotiating a good deal. That's the other side of this. That's why you see some pro-free trade Republicans very reluctant to give this president authority to negotiate.
Tony?
I'll tell you this, the day she announced, I was lucky enough to be part of a small group of people who met with her. I found her extremely fascinating and interesting, and the impression I left with that I think was the consensus in the room was, if she can actually break through, which I'm not sure she can, but if she can in a debate or something happens, she'll be really interesting to watch.
Now, why would you think she can't break through?
You know, look, I mean, we talked about the polls before. Hillary Clinton's in real trouble in this Fox News poll. It's a fact, guys. I know some people get upset that we're Hillary Clinton bashing sometimes. She's losing in a head-to-head contest against every Republican except for Carly Fiorina and John Kasich, lesser-known people whose national footprint is a lot smaller. And I think Carly also has to kind of find her role in this field. A lot of these candidates like Rubio, like Jeb Bush, like Ted Cruz, like Rand Paul, they've all identified they're kind of part of the Republican field. She's still a little bit too nimble, I think, to benefit from
a lot of people don't know
a
who
base
she
of
is.
support. And that's another big part of it, too.
She's very charismatic, but those who do know who she is that don't like her challenge her on her track record at Hewlett-Packard, when in reality that should speak for itself. The fact that she even knows what it takes to run a large corporation.
100%, especially as a woman. It's so rare that a woman gets that position, a CEO. I'm proud of her for that. I think it's great.
Okay, so we talked a little bit about the trust and ethics deficit that polling has found that Hillary Clinton has, and I had pointed out that atop that polling was Governor Mike Huckabee. Somebody on the live chat, and I can't quite find her again, was thankful that that the governor got mentioned in that vein, because he too is another one of those people that he's done well in the past when he's run. I mean, obviously didn't get the nomination in 2008, but he did well, and he has the ability to come on.
He won Iowa.
Well, he has the ability to come onto the scene and make a splash. And if he's already seen as trustworthy over the potential Democratic candidate, what do you think, Stacey?
I think he should absolutely just come forward full steam ahead, and I think he will.
You think he will?
He's waiting.
You know what's interesting? I was reading this on CBSNews.com on their website, and they have the 5 things you need to know about Governor Huckabee, and it read like Oprah Winfrey's list of favorite things. And you would think that they'd be pretty critical of him, right? But they were listing all the things that you should know, and they were all really. Yeah. I mean, that's a nice place to start from a positive place.
Look, I agree, and as a young kind of person working in Washington, I had the privilege of working with a guy named Jack Kemp, who people used to call the leader of the happy right.
Yeah,
the enthusiastic, optimistic kind of Republican wing of the Republican Party. I think today you could definitely align someone like Mike Huckabee into that corner, where even if you don't agree with him on an issue or a policy, you do think he's a compassionate, sincere guy. He's done, I think, a great job creating and certainly, I think, legitimately that impression nationally. I think his problem is going to be you have such a big Republican field of which you have a lot of people playing to that kind of narrow slice of the evangelical base. If Rick Santorum comes into that battle, he'll, I think, take him head on. Ted Cruz gets a lot from that area. So in the rugby scrum that is the Republican presidential field right now, I'm not as sure Huckabee will be successful as much as he was in 2008.
Wouldn't it just be nicer to have a nice guy in office that you know is trustworthy and doing the right thing and making good decisions and representing our country? What would that be like?
Listen, I think you make a great point. I think a lot of women would say that about men. Wouldn't it be nice just to have a nice guy?
Yeah, we do say that. Yeah.
Yeah, but that has backbone and is willing to, follow through.
And he is. He's a smart guy.
And he's run a state, and he's done all those things. And well, we shall see.
And
Who do you think
Tony.
jumps in next?
I think Jeb is probably going to have to make an announcement sooner or later.
Oh, well, yeah.
Absolutely. Chris Christie can still
You're
jump
such a
in.
politician. That wasn't an answer.
All right, Jeb Bush, Chris Christie.
Okay.
I think these are the next
And
kind
you
of
know
in
Chris
line.
Christie well, so when that
I
happens,
do.
it'll be interesting to ask you
Indeed,
some
I
good
do.
questions. Okay, fun TV version of us. It had a lot going on, and so we were able to lighten things up a little bit here on the web. We'll see you tomorrow, again on the Fox News channel at noon Eastern.
Peace out.